Every person I've dated has gone missing. I'm starting to think it's not a coincidence. It started with Jamie. We met in my freshman year of college. He was the funny, wild type, always quoting movies and jumping off cliffs into lakes for kicks. We dated for 6 months. Nothing earth-shattering, but it was young love. Messy, exciting, loud. Then, during winter break, he vanished. No note, no goodbye. Just gone. At the time, I chalked it up to youthful irresponsibility. People flake out. They ghost. I was sad, confused, maybe a little bitter. His friends thought he ran off to California with some girl. His parents were frantic, but eventually gave up hope after the leads went cold. A few years later, I met Diana. She worked at the same startup as me, and we bonded over burnt coffee and toxic management. We started seeing each other secretly, texting under desks, sneaking out during lunch breaks. 3 months in, I woke up to a missed call from her around 3:12 a.m. The voicemail was strange, crackling audio, her voice shaky, like she was whispering in a closet. She said something about someone being in her apartment, then it cut out. Gone. No signs of struggle, no evidence of forced entry, just an empty apartment, phone left on the floor near her bed. That's when it clicked. 2 people, both intimately involved with me, both vanished. Still, I tried to be logical. Coincidence, right? The world's messed up. People go missing all the time. The fact that I knew 2 of them personally, that I dated them, was tragic, not suspicious. But then came Mark. This time, I was careful. I didn't tell anyone we were seeing each other, not even my best friend. I thought if I kept it private, if no one knew, maybe whoever or whatever was causing this wouldn't notice. We went out for nearly 7 weeks, dinner dates, late-night walks. He was kind, sweet, a school teacher for God's sake. One evening, we were walking back to my place. He stopped me near the entrance and said, "I think I love you." He smiled in that dorky way he always did, tugging my hand gently. I kissed him, told him I felt the same. That was the last moment I ever saw him, gone by morning. Again. At first, I thought he bailed, but then I saw his car, still parked in front of my building, keys inside, wallet in the cup holder. Now I was terrified. 3. That was a pattern, right? Wasn't that what the FBI looked for when investigating serial crimes? A sequence? I stopped dating after that. For almost a year, I shut down every flirtation, every invite. I lived like a shadow, half paranoid, half depressed. I started seeing a therapist, but I never told her everything. How could I? It sounded insane. Every person I date goes missing. No one says that unless they want to be involuntarily committed. But something was happening, something I couldn't ignore anymore. And then I met Oliver. He was different, more grounded, a bookstore owner of all things. He had a calming presence like a walking candle. I told myself, maybe this time it'll be okay. We started slow, coffee once a week, then brunch, then dinners. I waited for the signs, strange dreams, sudden disappearances, odd phone calls. Nothing. For 6 weeks, he stayed. And then, on week 7, it happened again. Not a disappearance this time, something worse. I came home one night, and Oliver was sitting in my kitchen, eyes wide, shirt stained with blood. Not his. He looked up at me and whispered, "I know what's happening to you." I saw it. I froze. And the nightmare began again. For a few seconds, I couldn't move. I just stood there in the doorway of my apartment, staring at Oliver, his hands trembling, his breath shallow, and his eyes still locked on me like he was trying to read my soul. "Oliver, whose blood is that?" I whispered, though part of me already knew I wouldn't like the answer. He shook his head, then stood up slowly. "You have to listen to me. Please, I know this sounds crazy, but I think something is following you, watching you, maybe even attached to you." I stepped back. Attached to me? What does that even mean? He ran a hand through his hair, smearing blood across his forehead without realizing it. "I saw something tonight, something not human." Oliver told me he had followed me after I left his shop, not out of suspicion, but because he felt like someone else was already following me. He had noticed them a few times. Shadows that didn't behave like shadows, flickers at the edge of his vision, movements and reflections that didn't match reality. Tonight, he said he saw one of them more clearly than ever before. It wasn't a person, it didn't walk like a person, it didn't even move right. His voice cracked. And then, I saw it watching me, watching you. I confronted it, and God, I think I killed it. He pointed toward the living room window. It was out there, by the dumpster. But when I stabbed it, it didn't bleed like a human. It bled black. Like oil, I stared at him, stunned. "You stabbed someone? What if it was a person?" He shook his head again, more forcefully this time. No, it wasn't. I swear to you, it disappeared, like it dissolved into smoke. I've never seen anything like it. My body went cold. 3 of my partners had gone missing without a trace. The police always hit dead ends. I told myself it was just terrible luck, but now, standing in front of Oliver, who looked like he'd seen hell, I wasn't so sure anymore. "What do you think it wants?" I asked. He took a breath. "You." That one word felt like a punch to the chest. He continued, "I think it's not coincidence that these people you date disappear. It's targeting them, taking them because they're close to you. Maybe it's trying to isolate you or protect you or punish me," I said, finishing the sentence. Oliver sat down heavily in the kitchen chair, finally noticing the blood on his hands. He wiped them on a dish towel absently. "You're not cursed. You're haunted." It sounded ridiculous, but I couldn't ignore the evidence anymore. Oliver was the only one who had gotten close and seen something. He hadn't disappeared, at least not yet. He had fought back. So I did something desperate. I asked him to stay with me. Not in the romantic sense. I just didn't want to be alone. Not anymore. He agreed, and we set up a cot in the living room. That night, neither of us slept. Around 3:03 a.m., the apartment temperature dropped. It was summer, but I could see my breath in the air. And then came the sound. A sharp creak, like someone stepping on the floorboards. Right outside my bedroom door. Oliver whispered from the living room, "You heard that, right?" I didn't answer. I just stared at the door. As the knob began to turn, the doorknob twisted slowly, deliberately, like someone wanted us to hear it. I froze, my breath caught in my throat, every nerve in my body begging me to move but locking me in place. Then I heard Oliver. "Don't open that door," he whispered from the living room, his voice sharp and low. The knob stopped turning. The silence that followed was worse than the sound. I grabbed the nearest thing I could find, a bedside lamp, and crept toward the door, every step an echo. My heartbeat thudded in my ears. The air felt dense, thick like fog, and it smelled faintly metallic, like rust and rain. "Back away from the door," Oliver called again, louder now. I could hear him rustling, likely grabbing something to defend us with. But I didn't back away. Something deep inside me, a mix of terror and defiance, made me want to see what was on the other side. I flung the door open. There was nothing there, just an empty hallway. Shadows pooled around the corners like ink, and the only sound was the soft hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. But the cold was still there, and the feeling, that thick, looming sense that we were not alone. Oliver came running in, holding a fire poker he'd grabbed from the stand by the fireplace. "Are you okay?" he asked, scanning the hallway behind me. I nodded. There was nothing, but something was here. We didn't sleep at all that night. We sat on the living room floor, backs to the wall, weapons in our laps, eyes darting to every corner. Nothing else happened, no noises, no shadows, just silence and the unshakable presence of something unseen. By sunrise, we were both wrecked. Oliver looked pale, his eyes sunken, his hands trembling. "We need help," he said. "From who?" I asked. "The police won't believe us. They'll think we're insane." "Not the police," he said. "There are people who deal with this kind of thing." I laughed, bitter and hollow. "What kind of people? Demon hunters?" He looked at me dead serious. "Paranormal investigators. There's a woman, Sister Callahan. She's not a nun anymore, but she helps people, like you." That same day, we drove 3 hours north to a small town outside the city. Sister Callahan's house was tucked between an abandoned church and a cemetery. Fitting. She was in her 60s, tall and thin, with silver hair pulled into a braid down her back. Her eyes were unnervingly sharp, like she could see right through me. "I felt your presence before you even stepped out of the car," she said when we arrived. "You've brought something with you, something old and angry." Oliver explained everything. My ex's disappearing, the black blood, the shadow thing, the cold spots. Sister Callahan listened without interrupting. Finally, she said, "It's not attached to you in the way you think. It's obsessed with you." "What does it want?" I asked. "To keep you alone," she replied. "It's not killing them for fun. It's eliminating competition." I felt nauseous. Sister Callahan lit a bundle of herbs and walked in circles around me, chanting something in Latin. The moment the smoke reached my chest, I gasped. I felt pressure, like something pushing down on me, hard. And then, I saw it. Just for a second. In the corner of the room, reflected in the mirror, a tall, featureless figure with empty sockets where eyes should be. It didn't move, but I knew it was watching. Not just me, but us. Sister Callahan's voice sharpened. "It's here!" Oliver gripped my hand. That's when the mirror cracked straight down the middle, and the lights blew out. The mirror split with a sound like a scream trapped in glass. Every light in the room burst, plunging us into a flickering haze of dying bulbs and smoke from the herbs. Oliver cursed and pulled me close. Sister Callahan didn't flinch. She just whispered faster. The room felt like it was bending inward, like the walls were breathing, pulsing, folding around us. I tried to stay grounded, but my legs gave out. I dropped to my knees, shaking, heart slamming in my chest like it wanted out. Something icy coiled around my spine. I couldn't see it, but I felt it. A cold hand brushing the back of my neck. A presence, a weight pressing on my shoulders like I was being claimed. "Don't talk to it!" Sister Callahan snapped, her voice thunderous. "Don't even think of its name." "What name?" Oliver asked, gripping the poker again, but she ignored him and continued the chant. The herbs flared, green flame licking the edges, then went out. Instantly, the temperature dropped. I could see my breath in the air. The cracked mirror let out another ping, a long, echoing sound like a bell deep underwater. And then, silence. Not normal silence, the oppressive kind. The kind that rings in your ears and makes you feel like the world has stopped turning. Then I heard it. A whisper, soft, hoarse, and intimate. It came from nowhere and everywhere at once. "You are mine!" I don't remember screaming, but my throat was raw when Sister Callahan forced something into my hands. An old rosary, blackened with age. It burned. I mean burned. Not just heat, pain, like it was digging under my skin. "It's reacting to the binding," she said. "The entity doesn't want to let go." Oliver stepped between me and the broken mirror, and that's when I saw it again. That faceless silhouette. Its arms were longer than they should have been, dragging behind it like roots. It hovered inches from the floor, and its body shimmered like oil in sunlight. "I've seen it in my dreams," I muttered. "It's always there, just watching." Sister Callahan nodded grimly. "Because you've let it in, willingly or not. It's latched onto your loneliness, your pain." I stared at her. "So what now? How do I get rid of it?" She hesitated. "That's the thing. You may not be able to, not entirely." Those words hit like a punch to the chest. "So I'm cursed? Forever?" She held my gaze. "No, but this thing, it's ancient. It doesn't just leave, it retreats, bides its time. You need to take away its power. Starve it." "Starve it how?" "Don't give it what it wants. Don't isolate. Don't give in to grief or fear. It feeds off the space between you and others." That sounded impossible. Everyone I'd gotten close to had vanished. If I tried to build anything again, I could lose someone else. Was I supposed to just live alone? Sister Callahan seemed to read my thoughts. "You need people who believe you. People who'll stay anyway." Oliver squeezed my hand. We spent the night in the guest room at her place. No dreams, no shadows, no voices. For the first time in weeks, I slept without waking in terror. But in the morning, something felt off. I couldn't find Oliver. His phone was still charging. His shoes were by the door. His jacket hung on the hook. I called out for him. No answer. Then I found the note, hastily scribbled on a page torn from his journal. I saw it again. "I think it's after me now. I didn't want to risk you. I'm going to try to lead it away." And just like that, he was gone too. I read that note over and over until the words blurred. My hands shook. My throat was dry. Oliver had done what all the others had, disappeared. But this time, it wasn't some mystery. He knew something. He saw it, he felt it coming. And he tried to protect me by running, just like the rest. I didn't go home. I stayed with Sister Callahan for days. She barely let me out of her sight. She watched me like a hawk, never letting the lights go out at night. I wasn't sure if she was trying to keep something out or me in. We tried to track Oliver. His car was gone. But no ATM withdrawals, no calls, no sightings. Another person I loved. Swallowed by the thing I couldn't name, or kill, or even understand. On the fifth night, I woke up gasping. I'd had a dream. No, a vision. It felt more real than anything. Oliver was standing at the edge of a frozen lake. The sky above him swirled like ink in water, and behind him the creature loomed. Except, it wasn't the same. It wasn't just a shadow anymore. It had taken on something familiar. His shape, its arms, were human now. It wore a torn shirt, his shirt. Its face was blank, but I recognized the outline, the stance. It had absorbed him. I screamed. Sister Callahan rushed in and held me as I cried. That was the moment I broke. "This is never going to stop," I choked out. "It takes everyone, and I still don't know why." She was quiet for a long time. Then she said something that chilled me more than any ghost story ever could. Maybe it's not just targeting the people you love. Maybe it's becoming them, one by one. The horror set in like ice. What if it hadn't just killed them? What if it wore them like masks, replicas stitched together by memory and pain? What if every time I let someone in, it waited, hungry, to replace them? I ran. I left Callahan's place in the middle of the night. I didn't want to put her in danger. I couldn't bear to be the reason she vanished too. I checked into a motel 3 towns away. Paid in cash, used a fake name. For the next week, I lived off the grid. No phone, no laptop, no social media, just me, 4 walls, and a constant, crushing fear that the shadow would slip through the cracks. One night, as I sat alone in the flickering motel room, there was a knock at the door. I froze. Another knock. 3 slow, deliberate taps. I crept toward the peephole. What I saw made my stomach lurch. It was Oliver, or something wearing him. He smiled, but it wasn't his smile. It was too wide, too empty. His eyes were blank. "Hey," he said, "you forgot your jacket." I didn't open the door. I didn't speak. I backed away slowly until I was in the bathroom, door locked, clutching a rusted towel bar like it was a weapon. I stayed there until morning. When I finally came out, he was gone. Only the note remained, slipped under the door like a love letter from hell. "You're never really alone. You just think you are." I don't know how much longer I can keep running, but I've stopped trying to fall in love. Not because I don't want to, because I can't, because every person I let into my life eventually vanishes. And I'm starting to think that whatever it is, it doesn't want me to be alone. It wants me to be only with it, forever.